Chapter 4, The Outsiders. Visualize as I read. The park was about 2 blocks square. Visualize the grass, with a fountain in the middle and a small swimming pool for the little kids. Visualize the swimming. The pool was empty now in the fall, but the fountain was going merrily. Tall elm trees made the park shadowy and dark. Visualize the shadows. And it would have been a good hangout, but we preferred our vacant lot, and the shepherd outfit liked the alleys down by the tracks, so the park was left to lovers and little kids. Nobody was around at 2:30 in the morning, and it was a good place to relax and cool off. I couldn't have gotten much cooler without turning into a popsicle. Johnny snapped up his jeans jacket and flipped up the collar. Ain't you about to freeze to death, Pony? You ain't a woofin', I said, rubbing my bare arms between drags on my cigarette. I started to say something. About the film of ice developing on the outer edges of the fountain when a sudden blast from a car horn made us both jump. The blue Mustang was circling the park slowly. Johnny swore under his breath, and I muttered, What do they want? This is our territory. What are socialists doing this far east? Johnny shook his head. I don't know, but I bet they're looking for us. We picked up their girls. Oh, glory, I said with a groan. This is all I need to top off a perfect night. I took one last drag on my weed and ground the stub under my heel. Want to run for it? It's too late now, Johnny said. Here they come. 5 soldiers were coming straight. 5 soldiers were coming straight at us, and from the way they were staggering, I figured they were reeling pickled. They scared me. A cool, deadly buff could sometimes shake them off, but not if they outnumbered you 5-2 and were drunk. Johnny's hand went to his back pocket, and I remembered his switchblade. I wished for that broken bottle. I'd sure show them I could use it if I had to. Johnny was scared to death. I mean it. He was as white as a ghost, and his eyes were wild looking, like the eyes of an animal in a trap. We backed against the fountain and the soldiers surrounding us. They smelled so heavily of whiskey and English leather that I almost choked. I wished desperately that dairy and soda would come along hunting for me. The 4 of us could handle them easily, but no one was around, and I knew Johnny and I were going to have to fight it out alone. Johnny had a blank, tough look on his face. You'd have to know him to see the panic in his eyes. I stared at the soldiers coolly. Maybe they could scare us to death, but we'd never let them have the satisfaction of knowing it. It was Randy and Bob and 3 other soldiers, and they recognized us. I knew Johnny recognized them. He was watching the moonlight glint off Bob's rings with huge eyes. Hey, what do you know? Bob said a little unsteadily. Here's the little greasers that picked up our girls. Hey, greasers. You're out of your territory, Johnny warned in a low voice. You'd better watch it. Randy swore at us, and they stepped in closer. Bob was eyeing Johnny. Nup, pal. You're the one who'd better watch it. Next time you want a broad, pick up your own kind, dirt. I was getting mad. I was hating them enough to lose my head. You know what a greaser is? Bob asked. White trash with long hair. I felt the blood draining from my face. I've been cussed out and sworn at, but nothing ever hit me like that did. Johnny Cake made a gasp and his eyes were smoldering. You know what a soch is? I said, my voice shaking with rage. White trash with Mustangs and Madras. And then, because I couldn't think of anything bad enough to call them, I spat at them. Bob shook his head, smiling slowly. Hey, you could use a bath, Greaser, and a good working over. And we've got all night to do it. Give the kid a bath, David. I ducked and I tried to run for it, but the Soch caught my arm and twisted it behind my back and shoved my face into the fountain. I fought, but the hand at the back of my neck was strong, and I had to hold my breath. I'm dying, I thought, and wondered what was happening to Johnny. I couldn't hold my breath any longer. I fought again, desperately, but only sucked in water. I'm drowning, I thought. They've gone too far. A red haze filled my mind, and I slowly relaxed. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the pavement beside the fountain, coughing water and gasping. I lay there weakly, breathing in air and spitting out water. The wind blasted through my soaked sweatshirt and dripping hair. My teeth chattered unceasingly, and I couldn't stop them. I finally pushed myself up and leaned back against the fountain, the water running down my face. Then I saw Johnny. He was sitting next to me, one elbow on his knee and staring straight ahead. He was a strange greenish white, and his eyes were huger than I'd ever seen them. I killed him, he said slowly. I killed that boy. Bob, the handsome Soch, was lying there in the moonlight, doubled up and still. A dark pool was growing from him, spreading slowly over the blue-white cement. I looked at Johnny's hand. He was clutching his switchblade, and it was dark to the hilt. My stomach gave a violent jump, and my blood turned icy. Johnny, I managed to say, fighting the dizziness, I think I'm going to be sick. Go ahead, he said in the same steady voice. I won't look at you. I turned my head and was quickly sick for a minute. Then I leaned back and closed my eyes so I wouldn't see Bob lying there. Okay, you'll read the rest of the chapter and then answer the questions that follow.